chosen one. Stop everything you are doing right now and lock your attention on this message. Not in a moment, not after you finish what you were thinking about. Right now, that distraction you just felt trying to pull you away that was not random. The enemy knows what the next few minutes are about to do to your life, and he is working overtime to keep you from receiving it. Heaven has issued an emergency lockdown, and you need to understand what that means before you take another breath. It means God has drawn a line, a hard, final, irreversible line around your life, your future, and everything the enemy has been trying to access. It means the open doors that darkness has been walking through, the ones you could not seem to close no matter how hard you prayed. Heaven just shut them, bolted them, sealed them, not because you finally got everything right, but because God decided enough was enough. You did not find this message by accident. The algorithm did not bring you here. The Holy Spirit did. This is a divine appointment that was written before you were formed in your mother's womb. You are standing at the border of a before and an after, and what I am about to tell you is the reason heaven sent this to your screen today and not last week. Stay until the very last second of this message, because in the next few minutes, I am going to hand you the exact spiritual decree heaven issued over your life in this lockdown. I am going to show you the specific moment this week where you unknowingly cooperated with God's plan, even when it felt like you were falling apart. And at the end, I am going to give you the declaration that seals this lockdown shut, so the enemy cannot appeal it. Do not click away. Your future self is on the other side of this message. If you leave now, you leave before the verdict is read. I know what the last 72 hours have felt like. The atmosphere has not just been heavy, it has been pressing, like the air has weight, like something massive is right on the other side of a wall you cannot see through. Maybe you woke up at 3:0 inches the morning this week, and you could not explain why. Your heart was beating fast, your mind started racing, and you lay in the dark feeling like something significant was shifting, but you could not name it. Or maybe you were going about your day yesterday, and suddenly, without warning, a wave of grief hit you. Not for anything specific, just a deep, aching sadness that felt too heavy for a regular Tuesday. Or maybe you felt completely numb, like you were watching your own life from a distance, going through the motions, wondering if God could still see you in the middle of the silence. You feel like you are suspended, like you are in a waiting room that nobody told you how to leave. And in that suspended space, the enemy has been whispering a very specific lie. Listen to your own thoughts, and you will recognize it. He has been telling you that the reason everything feels frozen is because of what you did. He has been replaying a particular moment in your mind, on a loop. Maybe it was that moment earlier this week when you did not respond the way you should have, when you snapped, when you withdrew, when you made a decision, you second-guessed the moment you made it. The accuser has been standing at the throne of your mind, pointing at that moment and saying that is why God went quiet. That is why the blessing has not come. That is why heaven feels distant. You disqualified yourself. You delayed your own breakthrough. The lockdown is not protection, it is punishment. But I need you to hear what the Word of God actually says about this moment. Isaiah 54:17 says, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is from me." Listen to that. Every tongue that rises against you in judgment, including the voice in your own head, including the accusation the enemy has been running on, repeat inside your mind this week. You have the authority to condemn it, not ignore it, not just endure it. Condemn it, because it is not the verdict, it is not the ruling, it is a lie dressed up as evidence. The emergency lockdown heaven issued over your life is not punishment for what you did, It is protection for what is coming. The heaviness you feel is not the weight of God's disappointment. It is the weight of His boundary. It is the feeling of walls going up around what belongs to you. It is the sensation of a divine perimeter being drawn that the enemy cannot cross. You thought that moment this week, that moment of weakness, that moment of silence, that moment of breaking down when you wished nobody could see you, you thought that was evidence that you were losing. But let me reframe your reality right now. That was not a breakdown. That was a breaking point. And breaking points are not where destinies end. They are where heaven intervenes. You did not disqualify yourself. You positioned yourself. And God looked at that moment, at that cracked and exhausted version of you, and He said, now I move. The emergency lockdown is not the end of your story. It is the seal on your enemies. Most chosen ones who hear a message like this feel the fire for about 48 hours. Then the dryness returns. The doubt creeps back. The silence gets louder. And within a week, they are exactly where they were before, waiting, wondering, spiritually exhausted. That cycle breaks today, or it does not. The inner sanctum puts a prophetic word from the throne room in your hands every single morning, 365 days of hearing God before the world can speak first. The link is in the first pinned comment. It will not be there forever, and neither will this window God just opened for you. You've been chosen. But being chosen doesn't mean being comfortable. It means being called into something so significant that heaven itself had to intervene before you went any further in the wrong direction. Before we go deeper, there is something you need in your hands right now. Everything being spoken over you in this message, the patterns, the prayers, the prophetic principles, has been captured in full inside the Chosen One Transformation Guide. It is available right now in the link below this video. Get it, because what you're about to receive deserves more than a single watching. It deserves to be studied, returned to, and lived. Now, let's go deeper. There is a reason you feel like you've been moving but not arriving, like a ship adrift in a vast ocean, its sails catching wind but never quite reaching the intended shore. You've been praying, lifting your voice to the heavens, yet it feels as though a thick, unyielding ceiling has descended, deafening the echoes of your earnest pleas. You've been faithful, pouring out your devotion and diligence, but the very ground beneath your feet, once seemingly solid, now constantly shifts and cracks, offering no stable footing. For the longest time, the narrative you've told yourself, or perhaps been told by others, casts blame in familiar directions. You've pointed fingers at the enemy, a shadowy adversary obstructing your path. You've blamed your past, a heavy anchor dragging you down with its unresolved traumas and regrettable choices. You've even blamed the timing, whispering that the stars simply haven't aligned, or that God's clock is running on a different, frustratingly slow schedule. But what if all those convenient explanations, while perhaps containing slivers of truth, missed the profound, precise intervention now underway? Heaven just issued a lockdown, a cosmic pause, a divine cease and desist order, and that means something far more specific, far more intentional, and far more loving is happening than mere opposition or bad luck. A lockdown isn't punishment, not a punitive measure designed to inflict suffering or chastise mistakes. Instead, a lockdown is a divine pause, a sacred and strategic halt that God enforces with meticulous care when He sees you, His chosen one, accelerating full speed ahead, oblivious, towards a junction where you are about to walk directly past your destiny, missing the very purpose for which you were created without ever even realizing the magnitude of what you just overlooked. It's a loving interception, a profound act of grace designed to reroute your trajectory, not to restrict your freedom, but to realign it with your truest, highest calling. This isn't a detour, it's a necessary recalibration, a moment where the GPS of your soul is being re-entered with heaven's coordinates. Think of the children of Israel at the terrifying edge of the Red Sea, a biblical drama that resonates with timeless spiritual truth. Behind them, the thunderous chariots of Pharaoh's army, a relentless force of oppression, rapidly closing in, their cries of vengeance chilling the very air. Before them, an impossible, impenetrable wall of water, a vast, churning abyss that swallowed all hope of escape. Every single natural indicator, every logical calculation, every human instinct screamed that they were utterly finished, trapped in a cul-de-sac of despair with no way out. But heaven had locked them in that impossible position, not with the intent to destroy them, but with a precise, divine strategy. This lockdown was not about their demise, but about their deliberate placement for a miracle so undeniably grand, so utterly beyond human comprehension, that it would not only save their lives, but also fundamentally, irrevocably reshape their identity forever. They entered that experience as slaves, defined by their past bondage and their oppressors' decrees. They emerged on the other side as a liberated nation, children of a miracle-working God, their very identity forged in the crucible of divine intervention. The lockdown, in this profound sense, was not a barrier, but the very address of the miracle itself, the specific coordinates where God chose to reveal his power in an unforgettable way. And in the same profound, identity-shaping, purpose-revealing way, the same is true for you right now. Your Red Sea moment, your present lockdown, is not the end of your story, but the precise beginning of its most miraculous chapter, a divine setup for a breakthrough that will define your future and solidify your true identity as a chosen one. What you need to understand first, and let me emphasize that this is the bedrock, the unshakable foundation upon which everything else in this message rests and ultimately makes sense, is that you have been operating under an agreement you never consciously made, a hidden covenant etched not in stone, but in the subtle whispers of your soul. Somewhere along the winding, often treacherous path of your journey, in the lonely valleys of disappointment where expectations crumbled, in the deafening silences where God seemed absent, and behind the unyielding doors that remained stubbornly shut precisely when you prayed and expected them to open, you inadvertently signed an unseen contract. This contract wasn't with a devil or an external foe, but with a lesser version of yourself, a shadow identity born of unmet needs, unfulfilled promises, and the quiet erosion of hope. In those moments of vulnerability, you started to retract, to shrink, to define yourself not by the expansive, glorious truth of who heaven calls you, but by the constricted narrative of what you've been through. You began to define yourself by the scars, the setbacks, the betrayals, rather than by the inherent, unblemished essence of what you were purposefully created for. And here, my friend, is where it becomes not just important, but utterly critical. You simply cannot step into the full, magnificent expanse of your divine purpose while you are still, however unconsciously, living under the crushing weight of a label God never gave you, a name whispered by your wounds rather than declared by your Creator. You were not called to merely survive, to simply endure the blows of life, to just scrape by. Survival is a necessary instinct, a primal response to threat, but it is not the totality of your calling. You were called to carry something, a divine assignment, a spiritual legacy, a unique portion of God's glory meant to be manifested through you into the world. You are a vessel, yes, but not just one meant to withstand storms. You are designed to be laden with treasure, carrying the very presence and purposes of God. And those two things, merely surviving and purposefully carrying, are fundamentally, profoundly, not the same thing. One is a reaction to circumstance, the other is a proactive expression of divine mandate. But here's where it goes even deeper, penetrating layers of self-perception that often remain unexamined. It's not just the label itself that holds you captive. It's the insidious, far-reaching impact of what that label, once accepted and internalized, produces inside you. Because a lie, when it is believed deeply and long enough, when it's nurtured in the secret chambers of the heart through repeated experience or confirmation bias, stops feeling like a lie altogether. It transforms. It begins to feel like undeniable reality, a fundamental truth about who you are and what you are capable of. This believed lie then becomes the filter through which you perceive the world and yourself. It starts subtly, yet powerfully, informing your most critical decisions, often steering you away from opportunities that align with your true purpose, whispering caution where God calls for courage. It begins filtering your relationships, either attracting those who validate the lie and keep you small, or subtly pushing away those who see your true potential and challenge you to rise. Most tragically, it starts silencing your authentic voice, stifling your intuitive spiritual nudges, and robbing you of the power of your testimony at the exact moment you were supposed to speak, to declare, to prophesy, or to advocate for truth. There is a deeply ingrained pattern that has been running like an invisible, subterranean current underneath your entire life, influencing its flow and direction in ways you may not have fully grasped. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people never truly name this pattern, because naming it, acknowledging its pervasive influence, requires a level of raw, unflinching honesty that feels profoundly uncomfortable, even terrifying. Think of Gideon, a man called to deliver a nation, yet we find him hiding in the cramped, shadowed confines of a winepress, clandestinely threshing wheat to avoid the Midianite raiders. In that moment of fear and perceived insignificance, he defined himself, humbly, as the least of his father's house. When the angel of the Lord appeared, that heavenly messenger didn't come to comfort Gideon in his self-proclaimed smallness, didn't validate his fear or his perception of inadequacy. Quite the contrary. The angel came and addressed him with a startling, audacious declaration. "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Why? Because heaven was steadfastly refusing to agree with the limiting pattern, the self-imposed label, even while Gideon was still physically living inside its constraints, still operating under its false premise. This is a critical spiritual principle. You cannot break a pattern, you cannot dismantle a false narrative if you are unwilling to first clearly see it, to unflinchingly name it, and to bring it into the light of divine truth. And what's coming next in this message will show you exactly where that pattern has been hiding, allowing you to finally expose it and begin the process of liberation. Stay with me, because this truth is about to set something profound free within you. Because once you have the courage, the grace-empowered fortitude, to name the pattern, to bring that hidden agreement with a lesser version of yourself, that believed lie, that defining label, into the stark, revealing light of conscious awareness. The very next and utterly crucial thing that must happen is this. You have to grieve what that pattern, that lie, that season of smallness truly cost you. This is not an invitation to wallow in self-pity, nor is it a mandate to embrace or perform victimhood. Those are different energies entirely, leading to stagnation. No, this is about a sacred, spiritual release, because there is a specific kind of spiritual weight, a heavy burden carried in the soul, that only begins to release its grip through honest, unflinching acknowledgement. It's like the breaking of a spiritual dam, allowing pent-up emotions and unacknowledged pain to flow. King David, the psalmist, understood this profound truth with an intimacy born of deep personal experience. His psalms are not saccharine, pretty prayers, crafted for public display or polite recitation. They are often raw, guttural, confrontational conversations with God, deeply authentic laments that swing from the depths of despair to soaring heights of praise. not by pretending the pain didn't exist or by skipping past it, but by walking directly through its fiery crucible with radical, unvarnished honesty. He cried out, he raged, he questioned, he poured out his soul, and in doing so, he opened a channel for divine healing and transformation. Many chosen ones find themselves spiritually stuck, not because they haven't prayed enough, not because their faith is weak, but precisely because they've been trying to praise their way past a profound, unaddressed grief that God is gently, lovingly, yet firmly asking them to bring directly to his feet, to lay bare before his tender gaze. They've bypassed the necessary lament, rushing to a forced praise that lacks the deep roots of processed pain. This is the stark truth. What you continue to carry in secret, you inevitably carry alone, bearing its crushing weight in isolation. But what you bravely, honestly, lay before the altar of heaven, offering it up in vulnerable trust, immediately becomes heaven's sacred responsibility. And there is an astronomical difference between those two realities, between solitary burden and divine partnership, a difference that will unequivocally determine how long this challenging, transformative season in your life ultimately lasts. Lay it down, chosen one. Let heaven carry what you were never designed to bear, alone. And this leads us to something most people entirely miss. A profound spiritual insight often overlooked in the rush for quick answers and immediate breakthroughs. The season you're currently navigating, this divine lockdown, this enforced pause, this period of perceived stillness, is far from empty. On the contrary, it is intensely loaded, brimming with sacred purpose and unseen activity. Heaven, in its infinite wisdom and meticulous design, does not waste a single day of preparation, not even when that preparation looks to our impatient human eyes like agonizing silence, frustrating delay, or utter inactivity. Consider the extraordinary journey of Joseph, a chosen one par excellence. He spent years languishing in the bottom of a desolate pit, betrayed and abandoned. He endured more years, confined within the walls of a foreign prison, unjustly accused and forgotten. He walked through these dark, character-forging seasons long before he ever saw a single day in the opulence of the palace. But not one of those years, not a single moment of his pit or prison experience, was wasted. Every betrayal, every solitary tear, every false accusation, every moment of waiting was meticulously woven by God into the tapestry of his making. His character, his resilience, his integrity, his wisdom, his profound understanding of human nature, his unwavering trust in God, was being painstakingly built, refined, and solidified in the dark, unseen crucible of adversity, specifically for the immense weight of responsibility he would carry and the unparalleled glory he would reflect in the brilliant light of his destiny. The throne, the high calling, the ultimate position of influence and authority, always, without exception, requires a depth of preparation that the casual crowd never sees, a hidden refining process that occurs far from the spotlight. And what's being so powerfully and precisely built inside you right now, in the quiet waiting, in the disorienting confusion, in the sacred tension of this very moment, even when you feel utterly unproductive, is the indispensable foundation that your next glorious season simply cannot and will not stand without. Imagine building a magnificent skyscraper on a flimsy, unreinforced base. If God were to give you the breakthrough, the full weight of the blessing, the vastness of your assignment, before the building of your inner structure was finished, before your character was ready to withstand the pressure, the sheer force and gravity of that blessing would not lift you. It would tragically destroy the very thing it was meant to elevate and establish. This pause is not a denial, it's a divine construction phase, ensuring your capacity matches your calling. Now, Once you truly grasp that this preparation is not a punishment, but a profound act of divine love and wisdom, a strategic investment in your future, you are finally ready for this next crucial revelation, the transformative power of holy alignment. Because this divine lockdown isn't merely about slowing you down, about hitting the brakes on your current trajectory. More fundamentally, it is about meticulously repositioning you. You have, perhaps unknowingly, found yourself surrounded by relationships, commitments, and a chorus of voices that, on the surface, felt right, felt good, felt supportive. Yet, beneath the veneer of perceived normalcy, they were subtly, insidiously pulling you sideways, diverting your energy, diluting your focus, and subtly misaligning you from the direct, heaven-ordained path of your purpose. This is a hard truth, but an essential one. Not every voice that speaks into your life, no matter how well-meaning or seemingly wise, is truly qualified by heaven to do so. Not every friendship, even those cherished for years, was ultimately built for the specific, unfolding tapestry of your divine purpose. Some connections, while beautiful in one season, can become anchors in another. And critically, not every door that seemingly opened before you, beckoning with opportunity or promise, was genuinely opened by the hand of God. Some were merely distractions, detours, or even traps. Holy alignment, therefore, means courageously and discerningly releasing what God ultimately did not assign to your life, even if it's comfortable, familiar, or initially painful to let go. And let me tell you, that act of conscious, spiritual release is one of the most spiritually costly, yet simultaneously one of the most spiritually necessary and liberating things a chosen one will ever be called to do. Consider the prophet Elijah. To hear God's profound, still small voice, he had to leave the chaotic, clamorous crowds of the prophets of Baal. He had to withdraw from the noise and political machinations of Ahab's court, retreating to the quiet solitude of Mount Horeb. It was in that stripped-down, isolated place, devoid of all worldly distraction, that he finally tuned in to the divine frequency. You simply cannot hear heaven clearly. You cannot discern the subtle, precise whispers of your divine calling when the noise level of your associations, the clamor of external voices and unaligned commitments, consistently exceeds the delicate, high frequency of God's assignment for your life. True alignment requires intentional spaciousness, a clearing of the static so that the divine signal can come through, pure and unadulterated. But let me challenge you now with something that cuts even deeper, something that pierces through the superficial layers of external influence and delves into the very core of your internal landscape. The voices outside of you, while certainly capable of distraction and misalignment, are often far less dangerous, far less insidious than the voice that has taken up residence inside your own mind and heart. There is a particular internal voice you've been listening to, perhaps for a very long time, that masquerades with such convincing artistry. It sounds so much like genuine discernment, like a wise protector, like pure, unadulterated wisdom itself. But in its deceptive essence, it is nothing more than raw fear, cunningly wearing the sophisticated clothing of logic, reason, and prudence. This voice, disguised as your inner counsel, tells you to wait when the divine impulse from God is clearly saying, "Move." It whispers doubts, declaring with convincing certainty that you're not ready, you're not equipped, you're not experienced enough. Even when heaven has already, unequivocally, released your assignment and pronounced you capable. It urges you to protect yourself at all costs, to build walls, to remain safe within your comfort zone, fiercely guarding yourself from the very vulnerability, the very exposure, and the very courageous stepping out that your purpose absolutely requires for its manifestation. Fear, cloaked in the guise of wisdom, is one of the most sophisticated, devastating, and difficult to combat spiritual weapons ever deployed against a chosen one. Why? Because you cannot easily rebuke what you genuinely believe is reasonable. You cannot dismiss what feels like sensible caution. It weaves itself into your thought patterns, becoming an almost invisible thread in the fabric of your decision-making, paralyzing your progress under the guise of protection. And what's coming next, the layer beneath this one, the profound truth that underlies even this insidious fear, is the very thing that will make everything else we've discussed finally click into place, illuminating the path forward with undeniable clarity. Don't go anywhere. This is the key that unlocks the door, because underneath that fear dressed as wisdom, that cunning internal voice of caution and doubt, is something even more hidden, something far deeper and more foundational to your spiritual experience. It is an identity wound so profound, so deeply etched into the fabric of your being, that it has been subtly, unconsciously shaping your entire theology, your fundamental beliefs about God, His character, and His interaction with you, without you even realizing its pervasive influence. Consider this: what you believe, at the deepest, most unspoken corners of your heart, about yourself, fundamentally filters and interprets everything you believe about God. If you harbor a deep-seated conviction, however subtle, however unacknowledged, that you are fundamentally not enough, that you are too broken by past hurts, too late to catch up, too complicated to be fully understood, or simply too much in your intensity or your needs, then every glorious promise you read in Scripture, every powerful declaration of God's goodness and provision, gets unconsciously edited, subtly rewritten, and filtered through the lens of that deep, unresolved wound. You hear God's magnificent words spoken aloud, perhaps even feel its initial resonance, but then, like a phantom whisper, your wound immediately supplies a devastating footnote. And that insidious footnote invariably says, yes, that's true for others, but not for you. This is precisely what Naomi did, a woman who had experienced profound loss and tragedy. Returning to Bethlehem, heartbroken and empty, she implored her community, "Do not call me Naomi, call me Mara," which means bitter. She had allowed her devastating loss, the pain of her circumstances, to rewrite her very name, to redefine her identity in the eyes of her community and, more importantly, in her own heart. She had decided, based on her grievous experience, that God's goodness, His favor, His loving kindness had utterly passed her by. She believed she was beyond redemption, beyond blessing. But God, the master weaver of destinies, was not finished with her story, not by a long shot. And with the same unwavering, redemptive love, He is not finished with yours either. Your identity wound does not get the final say. God's eternal truth does. This, then, brings us to the real, seismic turning point, the pivotal moment where true transformation becomes not just possible, but inevitable. And here is precisely where most transformation messages, however well-intentioned, often stop short. They tell you to believe, to have faith, to confess positive affirmations, to strive for a higher vibration. But they often fail to address the insidious, foundational root beneath the unbelief, the true impediment to your breakthrough. The root, the unspoken truth, is this: you have been tirelessly trying to earn what was already freely given. You have been performing, exhausting yourself in a relentless spiritual hustle for an audience of one, your Heavenly Father, who never, not once, asked for a performance. He asked for your heart, for your trust, for your surrender, not for your flawless execution or your impeccable spiritual resume. Grace, the very essence of God's unmerited favor and boundless love, is not a reward earned for spiritual excellence, for perfect behavior, or for achieving a certain level of holiness. No, grace is the very ground you stand on before you ever take a single step, the foundational reality upon which your entire spiritual journey is built. It is the air you breathe, the strength in your lungs, the light that guides your feet, and the chosen ones who ultimately walk in the glorious fullness of their divine purpose, who embody the freedom and power of their calling, are not the ones who finally figured out how to be good enough, how to measure up to some impossible standard. On the contrary, they are the ones who, in a moment of profound spiritual exhaustion and courageous surrender, finally stopped trying to earn what was already theirs and simply started receiving it. There is a deep, profound, soul-sanctured rest that God has been inviting you into, not because the work of the kingdom is finished, far from it, but because you, His beloved chosen one, were never, ever meant to carry its weight or wage its battles alone. The yoke, as it was written by the Christ Himself, is easy. This isn't because the divine assignment is small, insignificant, or without challenge. The assignments of heaven are always weighty, always impactful, always world-changing. But the yoke is easy precisely because you were never designed or intended to pull it by your own strength, by your own striving, by your own limited capacity. You are yoked with the omnipotent, all-sufficient presence of God Himself, and He carries the heaviest load, ensuring that your labor is not one of burden, but of grace-empowered collaboration. And just when you believe you've received the full revelation, when you feel the weight lifting and the clarity settling in, there is one more layer, one more profound, deeply hidden thing that remains to be unveiled. And this final piece of the puzzle, this ultimate truth, is the part that will likely surprise you, perhaps even startle you, because it surprised me when I first truly understood its implications. The thing that has been consistently, subtly, yet powerfully blocking your breakthrough, the most tenacious impediment to your forward movement, is not the enemy, though he certainly tries to oppose you. It is not your past, though its shadows can linger. It is not the people who hurt you, though their wounds cut deep. It is not the doors that closed, though they brought disappointment. It is not the years that felt wasted, though they carried a heavy sense of lost time. The hidden thing, the deepest, most guarded root of all, is this: you have been afraid of your own greatness. Not consciously, mind you. Not in a way you would ever admit in public, or perhaps even articulate to your closest confidantes, but in the quiet, unguarded places of your soul, in the secret chambers where fundamental decisions are often made and where crucial voices go unspoken, there has been a powerful, often subconscious part of you that has been profoundly afraid of what fully stepping into your magnificent, heaven-ordained calling would require you to become, of the transformation it would demand. Because greatness, in God's upside-down economy, does not look anything like what the world has tirelessly told you it would look like. It doesn't look like endless accolades, or personal comfort, or unchecked power, or effortless ease. No. In the kingdom of heaven, greatness looks like radical surrender, a continuous yielding of your will, your plans, your comfort zones to the higher, perfect will of God. It looks like profound exposure, allowing your true self, your authentic story, your vulnerabilities, and your God-given gifts to be seen, to be used, to be revealed for the benefit of others, even when it feels terrifyingly raw. And most powerfully, greatness looks like carrying the sacred weight of other people's freedom, other people's healing, other people's hope on the surrendered, obedient shoulders of your own yielded life. And yes, that is terrifying. It asks for everything. Consider Moses, when God called him from the burning bush. He didn't argue with God merely because he claimed he couldn't speak, that he was slow of speech and slow of tongue. While that was his stated objection, somewhere underneath that stutter, deep within his being, he knew precisely what saying a full, unequivocal yes to the Lord would truly cost him: the comfort of his shepherd's life, the safety of anonymity, the immense burden of leading a rebellious people. He knew the exposure, the sacrifice, the relentless demands. But God was not looking for someone who was comfortable with the monumental call. He was looking for someone who, despite the profound fear, despite the perceived inadequacy, despite the clear understanding of the cost, was simply willing to go anyway, trusting in the one who called him. That is the essence of chosen greatness. And now, after everything that has been painstakingly uncovered, layer by layer, in this profound message, after we've unearthed the hidden agreements, named the insidious patterns, acknowledged the necessity of grief, seen the wisdom in preparation, embraced the urgency of holy alignment, unmasked the fear dressed as wisdom, healed the deep identity wounds, and finally released the striving for grace, confronting the terrifying truth of your own potential. I want you to understand, with every fiber of your being, that the lockdown, this divine pause, this season of intense spiritual work, is now lifting. It is not lifting because the work is entirely done, as if you've achieved some perfect state of spiritual readiness. No, it is lifting because you are now, in this very moment, finally positioned, aligned, surrendered, healed, and aware to move forward with clarity instead of confusion, with an undeniable, heaven-breathed purpose instead of exhausting performance, with heaven's precise, powerful assignment instead of your own limited, self-created version of it. This is the moment you've been in preparation for, the culmination of every trial, every lesson, every tear, every prayer. Not someday, not eventually, not in the distant future, but now. Your time has arrived. Place your hand on your heart and declare this with me, letting these words sink into the deepest parts of your spirit. I release every agreement I made with a lesser version of myself. I break every label that was placed on me by pain, by people, or by my own unbelief. I release the grief I have been carrying in secret, and I lay it at the feet of the Most High. I am not behind. I am not too broken. I am not too late. I am exactly where God positioned me to be for such a time as this. I step out of performance and into grace. I step out of fear and into faith. I step out of hiding and into the fullness of what I was created to carry. My breakthrough is not coming, it is already here, already moving, already written in the eternal record of heaven. I am chosen. I am prepared. I am ready. And I will walk into everything that God has assigned to my name, not because I earned it, but because I was called. If this message reached something deep in you, something that has been waiting to be seen, then you have one responsibility right now. Share this with someone who is in their lockdown season, someone who needs to understand that the pause is not the end. Drop the word chosen in the comments so heaven knows you received this. And if you are ready to go even deeper into everything that was spoken over you today, the link below will take you directly to the Chosen One Transformation Guide, because this message was just the beginning, and your journey deserves to continue.